Sugar plums dance with the dead. Santa's sleigh just came from hell. Now Christmas has some tales to tell. Jingle bells, the truth prevails. Frost is melting, hear the wow. Merry Christmas and hail Satan. Satan. Burn the tree, we're celebrating. Reindeer riot in the snow. La 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 la, let the fires grow. Elves are striking, toys are late. Mrs. Claus opened homing cake. Carolers scream through the winter night. Thunder's wrapped in twinkling lights. Sneaking lace razor blades. Naughty listers will arrive. Merry Christmas and hail Satan. Burn the tree, we're celebrating. Reindeer riot in the snow. La 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 la, let the fires grow. No silent nights, no holy land. This year's gift is contraband. So raise your horns with anarchy. Let's all dance on the Christmas tree. Merry Christmas and hail Satan. Turn it up, we're celebrating. Raise your horns, the night is young. Let's make this fucking Christmas come undone.
Oh, the snow is
Is falling, the fire's alight.
Families gather
For a cozy night, but over at your house the mood is bleak, 'cause you're still worshipping that orange freak.
Merry
Christmas to everyone but you.
You're on the naughty list,
It's true.
with your lies and your hate and
And
your
your
QAnon
QAnon
crew.
crew.
Merry
Christmas to everyone but you.
You're crying about
Starbucks cups again.
While billionaires rob us blind with a grin. You shout fake news as facts you don't like, and scream lock 'em all up on TikTok all night.
Merry Christmas to everyone but you. You're stuck in a Fox News echo zoo. Your MAGA merch smells like hypocrisy stew. Merry Christmas to
Everyone but you.
Oh, you can't spell truth. You walk into the booth with a flag and a hat and no grasp of the fact. Santa tried to help, but he gave up too, 'cause he'd rather give coal to someone who's cool.
Jingle bells, Trumpy smells, your logic ran away. Your brain is fried, you grifted, pride makes Christmas suck all day. Merry
Christmas to everyone but you.
The Grinch has more heart than your toast to a future where justice comes through. Merry Christmas to everyone but you. So deck the halls with kindness and cheer, and keep your MAGA nonsense out of here, 'cause peace and love are long overdue.
And Merry Christmas is wasted on you. Wunderbar. Hey, this is something I've been wondering about. What happens?
He's got a face like a sunset, painted orange, can't forget. Tells tales you won't believe, pets his dinner, he deceive.
Interesting. Interesting. Okay. Okay, I learned what I wanted to learn. Let's watch this. This is funny.
Madam Secretary, how many United States military veterans have you deported?
Sir, we have not deported U.S. citizens or military veterans.
She never thinks
I
first
don't
to speak.
believe you served in the military. I haven't either, but I think you and I can agree that as Americans, we owe everything to those who have served our country in uniform, particularly those who have served in combat. Do you agree with that?
Sir, I believe that people that are in this United States that are citizens have legal status here.
Madam Secretary, we are joined on Zoom by a gentleman named Sejun Park. He is a United States Army combat veteran who was shot twice while serving our country in Panama in 1989. Like many veterans, he struggled with PTSD and substance abuse after his service. He was arrested in the 1990s for some minor drug offenses, nothing serious. He never hurt anyone besides himself, and he's been clean and sober for 14 years. He is a combat veteran, a Purple Heart recipient. He has sacrificed more for this country than most people ever have. Earlier this year, you deported him to Korea, a country he hasn't lived in since he was 7 years old. Will you join me in thanking Mr. Park for his service to our country?
No, she won't.
Sir, I'm
'cause
grateful
she's
for
a
every
sniveling
single person
shit.
that has served our country and follows our
And
laws.
can you please tell
and knows
Mr.
that our
Park
laws
why
are
you
good,
deported
and
him?
every one of them needs to be enforced.
But you understand that many
She's
veterans
giving the
struggle with
cunt answer.
PTSD, many veterans struggle with
Because she's a
substance
cunt.
abuse challenges.
So she gives the
This
cunt
man
answer.
took 2 bullets for our country. Will you have broad authority, by the way, as secretary, to issue him.
The only thing she's ever taken to the face. The only thing she's ever taken for, like, he's taken bullets for our country. The only thing she's ever taken for our country is dick to the face.
Humanitarian parole, to do deferred action. Will you commit to at least looking at Mr. Park's case to see if you can help him find a pathway back to this country that he sacrificed so much for?
I will absolutely look at his case.
It is very much threatening to cause a forever divide in the Republican Party. Because just a quick recap for those of you that are joining us on chapter 73 of this whole situation, Candace Owens has been insisting that there is more to the story of Charlie Kirk's assassination than what we've been told. And over time, she's kind of cycled through pretty much everyone either accusing them or kind of alluding or going something doesn't smell right involved in Charlie Kirk's death. Right? And she has a particular fixation on the French as well as Egyptian planes following Erica Kirk for years. But most recently, she's taken aim at Charlie's own organization, Turning Point USA, saying that she thinks that Charlie was betrayed by those close to him. And we've talked about this fairly extensively. Some people just kind of amused by the drama, others maybe realizing how important this is as far as the Republican Party moving forward. Because Candace Owens isn't some random. Some people try to minimize her, but she's arguably one of the biggest podcasters in the world. But with all this, the big thing to note is that Candace has been speculating and spreading these conspiracy theories for months. And while there hasn't been much reaction from the organization itself until recently, yesterday at an interview with Fox News, you had Erica Kirk finally responding, at least vaguely.
I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. When you go after the people,
okay. I like it. I gotta say, I kind of like it. Oh.
Right about now. Check it out now. Right about now. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, the funk soul brother. Right about now, the funk soul brother. Check it out now, out now, out now, out now.
Fraggle Rock.
Hey guys, I'm just travelling home after a quite triumphant appearance on some morning television stuff. I don't usually like to do those things because I tend to wonder if there is a tangible return to it. But having seen the clickbaity Daily Mirror and Daily Mail articles about the interview, I thought, well, actually, yeah, that was worthwhile, because now everyone's talking about a car crash interview. It's car crash in the sense that the presenters didn't really equip themselves with the, you know, the understanding as to which of the two Darkness brothers is called Dan and which one's called Justin.
Dan and Justin join us now. I think Dan is going to join in, perhaps do a bit of editorial guidance on the programme there.
Well, I was going to, yeah. Well, I'm Justin, by the way, but I was going to,
Sorry.
yeah. But that's okay. You know, it's not like they're on 200 grand a year or anything like that. You know, they don't have to burden themselves with sort of knowledge that they'll then have to delete from their minds afterwards so they can get the next guest on. I mean, and also, it's not like we did a research call the day before, which, you know, both my brother and I, you know, went into some detail as to what our plans are and reacting to the various things that they wanted to talk about. It's not like we did all that, or did we? Anyway, I just love this whole, what I'm going to call it, legacy media approach to interviewing people. We're going on about dogs.
Yeah. Was that a dog on your lap as you played the piano?
It was my emotional support piano dog, yeah. Because I'm not a very good pianist, but when I have a little animal next to me, somehow it brings out my inner Gershwin.
Oh.
I don't know. It just felt a little bit, I don't know, television.
On this Monday, we're getting brand new insight about the guest list for an annual hate conference at a state park right here in Middle Tennessee. And we've now discovered it includes people who have celebrated political violence. Good evening, everyone. I'm Rory Johnston. Carrie is off. The American Renaissance Conference has been coming to the area since 2012, yet not much has been known about the cast of characters who attend. That is until now. News Channel 5 Chief Investigative Reporter Phil Williams was there 3 weeks ago when the conference returned to Montgomery Bell State Park in Dixon County. Phil is with us now, and I know you've been working hard to figure out who you were actually seeing come into that place, right?
That's right, which was not something that the conference organizers liked at all. As it turns out, there's probably a good reason.
If you are not here to celebrate and lift up love, what are you doing here?
Among the changing colors of the season,
Here for the conference? What's your last name?
visitors came from across the country for a conference where the only color that really matters is white.
But because there are 200 or 300 people in that building over there that believe only they belong in this country.
Here at Tennessee's Montgomery Bell State Park, protesters were kept far from attendees at the American Renaissance Conference, an event that, as the protesters see it, represents the worst of the world of hate.
And we want our message of tolerance and acceptance to stand in stark contrast to what they're advocating for in there.
Exactly what they advocate inside the park's lodge is a closely guarded secret, as is the guest list, which is what led us to stake out the security checkpoint standing in a public spot in a public park where we found some attendees desperate to hide from our cameras. For this woman, it was an effort that required both hands.
It's my understanding that you have been providing these pictures to people in the past year.
And this man, a longtime American Renaissance speaker and attorney who has represented the Klan and other hate groups, accused us of working with domestic terrorists. So when he stopped to take pictures, I decided to confront his questions directly. Did you have any questions for me?
Well, I'd be happy to ask you. Y'all are with Channel 5?
I am with Channel 5. I'm Phil Williams.
Hi, I'm Sam Dixon. Nice to meet you.
Hi, Sam.
The reason is we have reason to be concerned because we've had lots of couple with a group called Antifa. And they have tried to prevent us from having our meetings. And
I assure you, I'm not Antifa. Back at the checkpoint, we saw some familiar faces.
Hello, Thomas. How are you, sir?
That's Thomas Rousseau. He's the leader of the Patriot Front, the white nationalist group known for its flash mob protests, as well as its training of young men for battle. They want an America that's for whites only. And this is Eric Orwell, the Arkansas man who heads Return to the Land, the group that wants to build a whites-only community in Tennessee. Recently posted photos show Patriot Front showed up at Orwell's compound in Arkansas to help with building projects there. That despite what seemed like his efforts to distance himself from the group when we talked a few weeks back.
When we did the Zoom interview, you expressed some ambivalence. But then they came to your place and did some work.
No, I'm all for helping them and them helping us. I do have some personal ideological disagreements, but they're relatively minor.
Then there's Greg Johnson, the man in the passenger seat who, as you can see, was none too happy to see our cameras. One of the speakers at the conference, Johnson is author of the White Nationalist Manifesto. After a mass murder committed by neo-Nazi Anders Breivik in 2011, first killing 8 people with a van bomb, followed by the massacre of 69 people at a Norwegian youth camp, Greg Johnson wrote of his, quote, strange new respect for the killer, who he argued was engaged in resistance to genocide. Although Johnson said it would have been better if he had killed the actual leadership of Norway's Labour Party or the leaders of the Norwegian press instead of innocent children. Breivik, he wrote, simply chose the wrong targets for his killing spree. Back at the protest,
Does it surprise you that you have someone like Greg Johnson who, defends mass shooters?
It doesn't surprise me. Like I said, it is the worst of the worst.
Then there was Johnson's companion, David Zuddy.
Meanwhile, and we'll get to that, there is a sniveling shithead in Congress today testifying, no, all the violence is on the left, saying that Antifa was the only, well, Antifa is officially a terrorist organization and they're the only one. Motherfucker.
David Zuddy. He has defended the neo-Nazi who drove into a crowd of protesters in Charlottesville, killing 32-year-old Heather Heyer. The killer was convicted of first-degree murder. Yet David Zuddy tweeted, quote, James Fields is a hero who did nothing wrong. And, quote, Charlottesville made me realize that many liberals aren't fully human, along with the true extent of Jewish media control. He has also defended those who assaulted Capitol Police on January 6th. We also spotted this man from Atlanta. His name is Jared Huggins, and he was once part of a neo-Nazi group called Identity Europa. Huggins was also in Charlottesville, according to hate researchers who uncovered this Facebook post under a different last name where he called the weekend, quote, effing metal, and this Twitter post where he celebrated the Dodge Challenger used in the murder. Then there was a Pennsylvania man who heads a publishing house that reprints Nazi and other far-right books, and this young man from East Tennessee wearing a cap for the National Alliance. His name, we discovered, is Dylan Gaidano. National Alliance is a group originally founded by neo-Nazi William Pierce. Pierce's book, The Turner Diaries, helped inspire Oklahoma City bomber Timothy McVeigh. Social media accounts linked to Gaidano have expressed admiration for violent white supremacist J. Matthews.
MAGA-ing it up. Nazi-ing it up. How would you...
Sometimes J. Matthews and Fraser Glenn Miller. One Telegram post stated, quote, for me at least, if our goals aren't met in my lifetime, I will pull J. Matthews and Fraser Glenn Miller. One Telegram post stated, quote, for me at least, if our goals aren't met in my lifetime, I will pull a page out of Master Sergeant Fraser Glenn Miller's playbook. Fraser Glenn Miller shot and killed 3 members of a Kansas Jewish community in 2014 because he wanted to kill some Jews before he died.
Perhaps the best clue about what was happening inside comes from this man we spotted at the checkpoint. Emil Kosman is a Romanian-born pro-Russian podcaster who was invited to the conference to observe.
Right over there, they are videotaping us because somehow we are bad dudes.
This was Kosman we spotted outside the lodge. He later described the atmosphere inside the conference as one where it was anti-Semitism that really invigorated the crowd.
Yeah, the Jews are in control over there. These kind of things. A lot of people cheered. Oh, yeah, like, good job, man, telling us the truth.
The podcaster said the National Alliance had a table set up where it was selling its materials, but American Renaissance insisted that the Turner Diaries be kept under the table out of public view.
Guys, you know what the reason was? These guys are neo-Nazis. These are Nazis. That was the answer. They are Nazis. That's why we don't do it. It's a Nazi book.
Mr. Taylor. Hi, Phil Williams. That's a far different story from when I first met American Renaissance founder Jerry Taylor a year ago.
How about the neo-Nazis?
I don't even know a neo-Nazi. But inside the conference this year,
He said, well, that, what was his expression? That promotes violence and terrorism. Do you know that?
Cosman said Jerry Taylor privately insisted the group's Turner Diaries was a real problem. Which is why these protesters say what happens here inside this state park cannot be ignored.
And this group kind of represents the worst of the worst. And I wanted to at least be out here to say that that's not the America that I grew up with. That's not the America that I believe in.
And while this is happening, there's this sniveling little bitch motherfucker with an orange cock hanging out of his mouth saying, oh, Antifa's the problem. He's up in Washington and he's an official and he has power to do dumb shit to our government, and he is.
Something massive is happening around Warner Brothers and therefore its games division, and it's happening fast enough that the industry just has no idea how to talk about it. Warner Brothers Discovery was right in the middle of tearing itself apart structurally, trying to clean up its balance sheet in the middle of that process, and suddenly Netflix jumped in and said, hey, we're just gonna buy you. That includes film, TV, streaming, and the whole games division. And on top of that, the second that news hit, Paramount and Skydance has tossed a hostile counteroffer of their own in.
You wanted me. Here I am.
Because apparently everybody wants Batman. I mean, that's not really what's going on here, but like, as far as I'm concerned, that's really all that matters. Anyway, at this exact moment, WB Games, Rocksteady, NetherRealm, Monolith, Avalanche, Traveler's Tales, the whole stack could end up at Netflix or under another buyer entirely, or stuck in limbo if everything collapses. We have no idea. It's such a mess that people can't agree on who owns what because the buyer isn't settled and the seller was reorganizing mid-deal. Without exaggeration, this is one of the wildest corporate shakeups to ever happen to a major video game publisher in at least a decade. Hi folks, it's Falcon, and today on Game Ranks, what the hell is going on with Warner Brothers Games? So before we get going, I'm just going to give you a little bit of a quick hey.
This Candace Owens, Charlie Kirk's Turning Point USA, and now Erica Kirk herself situation, it is spiraling out of control. And it is very much threatening to cause a forever divide in the Republican Party. Because just a quick recap for those of you that are joining us on chapter 73 of this whole situation, Candace Owens has been insisting that there is more to the story of Charlie Kirk's assassination than what we've been told. And over time, she's kind of cycled through pretty much everyone either accusing them or kind of alluding or going something doesn't smell right involved in Charlie Kirk's death. Right? And she has a particular fixation on the French as well as Egyptian planes following Erica Kirk for years. But most recently, she's taken aim at Charlie's own organization, Turning Point USA, saying that she thinks that Charlie was betrayed by those close to him. And we've talked about this fairly extensively. Some people just kind of amused by the drama, others maybe realizing how important this is as far as the Republican Party moving forward. Because Candace Owens isn't some random. Some people try to minimize her, but she's arguably one of the biggest podcasters in the world. But with all this, the big thing to note is that Candace has been speculating and spreading these conspiracy theories for months. And while there hasn't been much reaction from the organization itself until recently, yesterday at an interview with Fox News, you had Erica Kirk finally responding, at least vaguely.
I do not have time to address the noise. My silence does not mean that I am complacent. Come after me, call me names, I don't care. Call me what you want, go down that rabbit hole, whatever. When you go after the people that I love, and you're making hundreds and thousands of dollars every single episode.
Like your fucking husband did?
Going after the people that I love because somehow they're in on this.
Talk about how
no, this is not okay. It's not healthy. This is a mind virus. This is a duty to my husband, and it's an absolute honor, and I will never back down. And so my message to them is to stop. To stop.
And she echoed that sentiment in an interview with CBS, except this time directly referencing Candace herself.
The podcaster Candace Owens, okay? At one time, a friend of Charlie's, at one time, an employee of Turning Point. She has been one of the main peddlers of these conspiracies. What do you want to say to her and the other people that are putting these lies out into the world right now? Stop.
There you go. Look at Barry Weiss. Here, let me help you. Barry Weiss doing that. Let me help you. Let me help you out, friend. Yeah, I came to CBS. I came to CBS to help fight against the bias. Here, let me help you, right-wing friends.
That's it. That's all I have to say. Stop.
And so, as you might expect, Candace appeared to take all of this very personally, and in her latest video, she absolutely slammed Erica's response as overly emotional.
Whoa! Whoa! Erica Kirk shuts down the No, she didn't even respond to one of the conspiracies. She gave us emotion. She gave us emotion. She said, I'm a mother, I am a wife, and we never asked about whether she was a mother or wife. We want to know if she is a CEO and a chairman. And a CEO and a chairman has to compartmentalize. A CEO, okay, does not get to respond and say, that's my family. If you really care about your team, answer the questions, okay? Just demystify the entire event. Answer, come out, sit down, answer the questions so people don't think Turning Point USA looks so suspicious. Don't try to like mom the organization and say, well, mother's upset because people are coming after her kids and all of this multi-million-dollar subsidiaries. That's my children.
Right, you had Candace pushing back hard on the idea that Erica doesn't have time for the noise, highlighting every stop on her recent press tour, as well as her appearance at the swearing-in ceremony for the new ambassador to India.
Erica Kirk has time. She has time. It is just what she means to say, not her priority, which is you are allowed to prioritize things in your own life. But this is not a matter of time constraint. It is not her priority to respond to the majority, actually. The majority of people think of this as BS. The majority of people think Turning Point is acting suspicious.
Candace also addressed Erica's accusations of people that are making money from spreading these conspiracy theories online.
So since Charlie has died, that organization has taken in $140 million. But gosh darn you people that are making hundreds of dollars every day on YouTube talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination and the BS narrative that is being fed and the very obvious psychological operation that is being employed to make you accept the BS that they are trying to sell to us. Gosh darn you. Did you make $1,000 today? Speaking about Charlie Kirk? Well, you should be ashamed of yourself, says Turning Point USA.
And Candace later added to that argument in a tweet saying, it is a positively absurd notion that you cannot critique a $150 million organization because the CEO says they are like a family and are grieving, and saying it is the exact same emotional strategy deployed by Black Lives Matter in the wake of George Floyd's death. When I called out their shady financial dealings, I rejected it then and I wholly reject it now. And then in addition to responding to Erica, you had Candace addressing Tucker Carlson, who's recently started asking his own questions about Charlie's assassination and expressing some doubt about the official story.
The FBI has this case, and of course the state of Utah. It's their job to not only find out what happened, but present it to the public in a way that restores some confidence that you can like have justice in this country, that we have functioning law enforcement. I don't have confidence in that because there's a lot of evidence.
The right always employs that tactic where it's like, but they're a wife. They're a mother, they're a daughter, they're someone's blah, 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 blah. But then, like, when the people they don't like say the same thing, oh, yeah, well, this person here is also a wife and a mother and a daughter and a blah, blah, blah. Like, oh, look at you. You're being shady. You're employing these tactics.
So we don't have that. So restore confidence by being honest and telling a story that makes sense. So why, and if they don't do that, and they haven't done that, they have not done that, how can you be mad at Candace Owens or anyone else for filling a vacuum that they left?
And then Tucker, he later reiterated his distrust of the official story as well as the FBI in his own video that he posted on X.
Of course, we shouldn't like invent theories to discredit the FBI, but it's not enough to have government officials tell us, well, this is the truth. We have a right, probably an obligation to say, well, can you prove it? And if you can't, I don't have to believe you. It is the job of the FBI to find out what happened and to tell the rest of us, not hide behind, well, it's national security, confidential sources. No, tell us what happened. Show us what happened. Convince us what happened. That's your job.
Also, it's definitely worth noting that the situation it just continues stoking the flames between Candace Owens and Tim Pool. Right, both right-wing creators have been consistently trading shots on X as well as on their respective shows, each accusing the other of being mentally unwell. And then, while all this has been happening, there's the matter of the TPUSA live stream that Blake Neff, the producer of the Charlie Kirk Show, sort of invited Candace onto, but only on the condition that she make an in-person appearance. Right in there, you had Candace saying she hadn't received any official communication and that she couldn't make the date that they picked, December 15th, work in person. But still saying, you know, she would be more than happy to appear virtually. But to that, you had Blake Neff responding, saying, yesterday we made it clear that we would be scheduling a formal response to the allegations and accusations you have made. We've decided that response will be delivered during a live stream on December 15th. Thank you for your response, letting us know you will not be joining the in-person conversation. We will be proceeding without you. And Neff also responded to another user accusing him of mishandling this whole thing by saying, of course, it isn't how you book a guest. We are not booking a guest and never said we were. We are delivering a response to several months of escalating harassment and lies. She was given the opportunity to join and decline. But there you had Candace hitting back, saying that at no point did they say that her presence in person was mandatory. And then you have her quoting the initial statement from Blake Neff, saying that TPUSA would sincerely welcome her participation in that live stream, before then adding, there was nothing sincere about what you did following that announcement, and you deserve the ratio you're getting. Frankly, nothing has felt sincere about the organization since Charlie passed. Right, and with all this, I mean, you even had someone calling into the Charlie Kirk Show asking why they've been so difficult about this.
One thing that I'm just trying to make come together in my head is why the invitation was extended to Candace.
TPUSA exists to give these right-wing, racist, white nationalist losers with no skills other than being perpetually triggered and being able to play professional victims easily, a way to get money without having to work for it.
But not to Candace directly.
What was approved is we announced we are going to respond to this, and what I said was we are going to announce a date soon. We actually hadn't agreed on it at the time I read the statement. We're going to announce a date where we're going to respond to this, and once we announce it, Candace is free to attend in person. That is what we announced, and so once we agreed on a time, I announced what the time was going to be. Candace, for her part, had said, you name the time, you name the place. That is what we did. Lastly, on the point of why it's in person, I think it's pretty intuitive that given what is being said, what the way this has worked is that it's critical to be in person if you want to be authentic and to be detailed. And that is what we think is a fair request to make if she's going to participate. But regardless, it is going to go forward because we have agreed that.
No, he's trying to stack it because it's the same fucking thing that Tim Pool does. It's that same strategy Tim Pool uses. That whole, you know, step into my parlor, said the spider to the fly. He wants to get you in the wolf's den, so he's got his pack around you, leering at you the whole time you're speaking. That's why I like when what's his name, R.A. the Rugged Man, was on there and like jumped up, and it was like, you disrespect me, I'll whoop your ass in front of your whole crew. That was amazing. That was amazing when he did that. I don't give a shit. I'll whoop your ass in front of all these boys. I don't give a shit. That was amazing. That was a truly amazing moment in Tim Pool's career.
Some response needs to be made.
Now, with all this, I do want to note, I don't have a dog in this fight. I am just watching them fight it out. But it does feel notable that Blake Neff is making the argument that you need to be in person to be authentic and detailed, but his co-host is appearing virtually. So, just going to throw that little bit into the conversation. But anyway, as far as the short term, it looks like it's probably not going to happen, the TPUSA Candace Owens live stream. But we should also expect fireworks because obviously she's either going to do a live stream while it's happening or do something to respond. And then that is going to just kind of continue this cycle that we've been seeing of just right-wingers going after one another. And so with that, one of the long-term questions is, will they eventually get back together? Or will there just be a winner, right? Is everyone kind of just going after audience right now? Especially because as time goes on, it is feeling more and more apparent that Charlie Kirk seemed to be a calming force for the right, like kind of a manager of sorts. Where you looked at certain things like Trump was saying, right-wingers need to stop talking about the Epstein files. And Charlie Kirk seemed more than happy to follow suit. And then once people saw that, there were a number of right-wingers that followed Charlie. And although it's definitely not universally the case, it was something that was meaningful enough to have an impact. But, you know, for now, the fight for the hill or the throne, it continues, and we'll have to see what this means about the future of politics and the future of the Republican Party. And then there's more we've got to talk about in just a minute. But first, let me say, you know, my knee, it made sounds yesterday that I'm pretty sure was Morse code for call a doctor. And if that sounds familiar, you can also insert your own glitchy body part here. The point stands, right? Aging, it means every weird ache, it suddenly matters. And thankfully, today's sponsor, ZocDoc, they make finding the right doctor simple. It's quick and way less painful than ignoring it. Because ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. Urgent care, primary care, dermatology, dentist. If your body has a problem, they've got someone on ZocDoc who's got you. And you can see real patient reviews, not vague ones like nice office, actual humans telling you if the doctor is amazing or if you should absolutely run the other direction. And I say this as someone that actually uses ZocDoc. I can book an appointment during lunch faster than I can decide what to eat. 0 phone calls, 0 music, 0 next available appointment is in 7 months. Just filters, availability, and boom, done. And understand, like, you can book same day and next day visits, which is great when your body decides we hurt now. And the whole thing, it's free to use. There's no hidden fees, no subscriptions, no create an account. So, stop putting off those doctor's appointments. Just scan that QR code or go to ZocDoc.com/Phil to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/Phil, ZocDoc.com/Phil. But then next up today, we've got to talk about how Trump, he's calling affordability a hoax, which, by the way, is also what he called the Epstein files. But he's doing that as people have been increasingly turning to GoFundMe to just pay for their basic needs. Right? You may not know this, but GoFundMe actually does a year in help, which another way to think of it is like Spotify Wrapped, but for donations on the platform. And while it's meant to kind of uplift you about all the millions of donations that helped worthy causes, right, highlight all the people that stepped up during natural disasters and other times in need, it's also kind of, I think the technical term is a fucking bummer to see how many people needed help at all. Right? Because essential expense fundraising for things like rent and utilities, it went up 20% this year. And when you look at the fastest growing categories this year, it was charity followed by just monthly bills. And again, while you've got Trump out there saying, hey, affordability is a hoax, everyone's doing great, more fundraisers were started for food banks than any other community related cause. And while yes, it is obviously a good thing that there are people out there that are willing to help, that they are helping, it points to the fact that a ton of people are just struggling to make ends meet. Right? GoFundMe shouldn't be the standard social safety net. But between the end of October and the start of November, there was a 6x increase in food-related fundraisers on the site, and that obviously lines up with the government shutdown pausing SNAP and government employees missing paychecks. And also with this, I'll say, well, Donald Trump is obviously getting the spotlight here because he's talking about affordability being a hoax, and he is the president of the United States who really talked about trying to help people afford things and pay for things. I do want to note it's not exclusively a Trump thing. Essential need fundraisers, they've been increasing over the last 3 years on GoFundMe in all the country's major English-speaking markets. But also, yes, we can't let this administration off the hook. Affordability is a major issue right now. And in fact, a recent Politico poll found that just nearly half of all Americans find that groceries, utilities, healthcare, housing, and transportation are difficult to afford. Right? And roughly a quarter of Americans skipped either a medical checkup or prescription dose in the last 2 years because of costs. And this is touching so many different facets of life. I mean, childcare costs are up 30% since 2020. And the list of things being impacted, it just goes on and on. Yet we have a president who yesterday, we talked about it, said that the whole affordability thing is a Democratic hoax.
But they have a new word. They always have a hoax. The new word is affordability.
Right, which, that would be an ignorant, stupid statement on its own, but it is extra ignorant and extra stupid because that is literally how we kicked off a whole tour about affordability. And then, connecting this back to the GoFundMe news, the most used words in fundraiser descriptions, it included work, home, bill, and food. So, that gives you a sense that affordability is in fact a very real issue. And with that, you had GoFundMe CEO even telling the AP that people needing to ask for help on rent and other bills, that's a function of what's going on in these economies. And what is interesting is that people do step up and support folks in those situations. And there, it speaks to not only are there people that want to try and help, but also because there is no hope or trust that anything's going to come from the government. With this, and obviously this part is now my opinion, this is not how a fucking government or society should operate. If times are hard or tragedy strikes, you shouldn't have to hope that Mr. Beast is gonna, put you in a fucking game so you can put a roof over your head or put some food in your mouth. And while over the years I've gone after Democrats and Republicans for not doing enough to address these issues, it feels like we are at a time where we have an administration that is almost purposefully trying to exacerbate these problems. And I'm often just left wondering, I don't know if some of the people that are supporting him that are being negatively impacted have like a humiliation or a submission kink.
I was just kind of scrolling through the comments, and my favorite one was this person said, over the past year or two, I've watched Squid Game, The Running Man, and The Long Walk. And I've also seen the equivalent on Mr. Beast. This is officially a dystopia. I get it. Like, if I had the kind of money I would, and I'm wanting to give to people, but I don't want to put like a handout, I would create these competitions so that people could legitimately win the money and what they earn. But also, you could just like all this money you have, just randomly walk down a street one day in like a poorer looking neighborhood and just go, man, that money sucked, that sucked, like yeah, like go to like one of those apartment buildings and like obviously talk to the post office and stuff and be like, hey, I'm going to be donating this money to these people here. Could you just unlock the back of the thing so and you can say right here, watch me, and I just and I like even show like inside that there's cash. It's like how can you see that how can you not see that you're just the Squid Game without murder? And you know what? I wouldn't even be surprised if he did a Squid Game. He has. He did a Squid Game. Oh yeah, the Beast Olympics or whatever the fuck it was. But it was intentionally Squid Game themed. Like all of the challenges were straight up. Just find yourself a private. They even did the Simon Says and everything. Buy Epstein's Islands and turn it into Death Race at this point. Yeah. But he also did like you said, the Olympics things where he had like this marathon thing, and it's like, well, there you got like the long walk essentially. And then they did that hide and go seek one where it's like, well, that's basically the Running Man. But you're also doing Squid Game just without the murder. You're doing all this dystopian shit, but just without the murder. Yeah, at this point, no matter what you fucking murder, at least you'll knock out some of the idiots. Yeah, but what you don't realize is most of the people signing up for your show, and I guarantee you, they're probably the bulk of the ones like not getting selected. They're signing up because they need that money so they don't die. You know? I mean, it's dystopian as fuck. There was I was reading an article a while back about this guy that lied about having asthma because like he was desperate and he wanted to get on the show because he wanted to pay off medical bills for his girlfriend and help her with her insulin and shit. So he lied on the thing and told him, he didn't have any issues or whatever. But then during one of the challenges, he started having an asthma attack, and then they found out he had asthma, so he had to get disqualified. And it's like, that's how fucking dystopian your show is, Mr. Beast. And that would have been a motherfucker where you're like, oh, shit, that sucks. Here, have some money. That's the guy you should be giving the money to. You know? Oh God, yeah. Look, as soon as they work out a way to do the projectiles and shit safely, they'll do it. They'll do it. It'll end up being like an American Gladiators theme thing, but it'll be like.
They have a way to do that. They just have to like create more stuff to go with it, which is it's literally just make it aggressive laser tag.
Yeah, they'll end up eventually. He's just working out the logistics. It's coming.
Or find a way to create an entirely virtual stadium and have everyone in like essentially full body mo tracking and shit.
I mean, he did the Squid Game one, so it's just a matter of time.
Yeah, because you've got like the haptic vests for like touch.
Well, he already used that one of those like rig things when it was like it was one of his earlier videos where it was like can you survive a manhunt for $1 million? So all these people were running around in this like abandoned town with all these people with like laser tag guns and paintball guns trying to catch them.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's just like
So it's just a matter of working out the logistics of getting people to compete against one another without the risk of one of them actually trying to like punch the other in the face legitimately or something, you know?
Yeah.
They're just working out a way where he can do it without getting sued. It's coming.
But what is it going to take? You've got so many of these grifters saying, hey, everyone's doing great. Look at the stock market, which if you actually look into, at least for the United States, is a big bet on AI. Outside of AI, like there's been very little growth. The idea that that's an indicator that most Americans are doing well is crazy. That's great for people like me that have income, I can move around and stuff like that, but not the average everyday person that has nothing or a few $100s in their bank account. But anyway, I'll leave my ranting for my crashing out podcast. And for here and now, I'll say, what are your thoughts, opinions, and reactions to what we're seeing around affordability and what the president is or is not doing about it right now? But then moving on to some quick international news, the US Navy are just a bunch of pirates. Right, that is what the Venezuelan government, as well as a lot of people online, are saying right now after US ships seized an oil tanker off the Venezuelan coast. And the US government, they're not being shy about it, with the Department of Defense quickly releasing footage of the incident showing a helicopter landing troops onto the tanker to take it over. And actually, right before that was made public, you had Trump delivering the news himself.
We've just seized a tanker on the coast of Venezuela, large tanker, very large. Largest one ever seized, actually.
But really, that was all we knew because they didn't give a real reason as to why this tanker was seized. They just said it was seized for a very good reason. And while, as I was recording this for you, the administration came out to try to give out more information, saying this tanker was targeted for transporting oil between Venezuela and Iran, either way, the initial lack of transparency, it led to a lot of questions and demands for answers. And among those questions was, what exactly is going to be done with the oil, to which Trump said that the US will probably just keep it. And then as far as, well, what's the international reaction going to be? You had Cuba and Iran calling it piracy, and, Russian officials, they used the incident to reiterate their support for Venezuela and said, I really hope that the United States, although they consider themselves entitled to conduct such operations, will somehow explain, out of respect for other members of the world community, which facts led them to take such actions. Which, really quick, I'm not gonna defend Trump's government here, but for Russia to still be mid-prolonged invasion of Ukraine going like, hey, you gotta, seems really uncool and unwarranted, is insane. It's like if Diddy released a statement being anti-freak-off and anti-assault. Right, and all of this, it's happening as you had people pointing out that just a month ago, Iran did a similar operation and the US denounced that, saying Iran's use of military forces to conduct an armed boarding and seizure of a commercial vessel in international waters constitutes a blatant violation of international law, undermining freedom of navigation and the free flow of commerce, saying we call on Iran to articulate to the international community the legal basis for its actions, which obviously made a lot of people feel like Trump was being a bit hypocritical here, since he was willing to recognize the US's authority to enforce its own laws, but not Iran's to enforce theirs. But also, seeing Trump do this, it's not the most surprising thing, because, we even just recently heard Trump refusing to rule out a ground invasion of Venezuela. Also with this, as far as the oil itself and trade itself, you have many saying this sends a chilling message to companies looking to export crude Venezuelan oil, especially because this Trump administration just said this afternoon that it was willing to seize even more tankers if they were allegedly involved in breaking sanctions. We're saying it also might have a small ripple for U.S. oil. And that is because despite tensions, Venezuela is a founding member of OPEC and sends us 132,000 barrels of oil a day, which may change because of all this. For now, we'll have to wait to see what further fallout there is and if there's continued escalation. But then, next up today, we gotta talk about Ice Barbie Christy Nome. Because for the first time,
people need to keep cutting us off. Like, seriously, it's going to hurt, but it needs to be done because the only thing the politicians and the corporations are going to ever understand is success and power. So the more Trump and his administration get us cut off and isolated from the rest of the world, the more the people who support him start to see him as a bad investment. And the more they want to get rid of him. So, yeah, there you go. I mean, he tried to do that pandering when he had that one farmer who would agree to come on there and sit and act like, oh, yeah, thanks for the bailout. This fixes everything, Daddy. Like, they found that one bootlicker. I haven't looked into him, but I guarantee you he's going to turn out to be a fucking corporate farmer who wasn't even getting hurt by the shit. But, oh yeah, this is how the farmer's supposed to act. See this guy being subservient and grateful? Good Lord. But yeah, but he's losing the rest of the farmers in real life, for really real in real life. He's losing the support of farmers, and we need more of that. We need more and more and more of that. Because the harder it gets for these people to get by, and it'll be hard for us too, and it'll suck. But, I mean, that's what needs to be done. The worse it gets for them, the more they want to dump him, which is good for everybody.
since she was confirmed as the head of Homeland Security, she had to stand in front of Congress today for just a beating. You know, going into this, it initially looked like she might be on shaky ground, not because of the opposition from Democrats, but because her own boss. Right? Recently, it's been reported that Donald Trump's been considering replacing Nome with someone else as early as January. One official even saying that she was on very thin ice, saying that Stephen Miller was leading the charge and that he and others were just frustrated with her because she wasn't building new detention centers fast enough. And then you pair that with reportedly several governors calling Trump to voice complaints about Nome's handling of FEMA and disaster relief funds. But then yesterday, you had Trump himself dispelling those rumors.
I read a story recently. I'm unhappy with Christie. I'm so happy with it. I mean, we have a closed border. We have a border that's the best border in the history of our country. Why would I be unhappy? She's fantastic, actually.
And so when Nome went into the House committee today, you know, she had the president's endorsement, but that also didn't stop protesters from bursting in.
I'm very privileged and honored today to have my family with me. I'd like to introduce them to you.
And in case you're wondering, they are yelling, "The power of Christ compels you," because they think she's the devil. But anyway, when she actually started getting questioned by lawmakers, the Democrats weren't much friendlier than the protesters.
You have misused resources appropriated by Congress. You've engaged in unethical behavior. You have repeatedly made false and misleading statements to Congress and to the press, and you've undermined the separation of powers and disregarded the role of Congress and the courts. Your options are limited. Either you're going to resign, Trump's going to fire you, or you will be impeached.
And with that, Delia Ramirez, who you just heard, is now pressing the House Judiciary Committee to begin impeachment hearings into Nome. Right? So you have that as Democrats have also filed articles of impeachment against Health Secretary RFK Jr. and Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth in the past week as well. But as for Nome, specifically the alleged unethical conduct, it stems from reports that her DHS awarded grant money to a firm that she has ties with, as well as the Coast Guard spending $172 million to buy 2 private jets for her. Not to mention, she allegedly lied to Congress and ignored the courts. And then, just a lot going on, Congressman Daniel Goldman pressed her on yet another alleged illegal matter.
Immigrants with ongoing asylum applications are legally in this country.
It's a lawful platform.
Okay, so if your department then deports anyone with an ongoing asylum application, you are violating the law, correct?
Joe Biden left us with.
I'm not asking about Joe Biden. I'm asking you a specific
1.5
question.
million cases
I'm
and
asking
granted asylum applications.
Why are you filibustering? Why
by
can't you
ignoring
answer the
laws.
question? It's a
Because,
simple
Joe,
question.
Your president
If your department
and your secretary
deports
did not
anyone
follow the law,
with an ongoing
applications
asylum application, you are not following the law. Don't tell us to change the law. If you don't like the asylum system, you change the asylum law.
Well, with this, unfortunately, the grilling got cut short because Noam left the hearing early. Her department, they're in some hot water outside of the House chamber as well. Because in case after case, federal judges have been chastising ICE agents for abusing their power. So, I mean, for example, in Oregon, there's a law that used to ban creating a loud or unusual noise, noxious odor, or other nuisance on federal property. But that was recently broadened to include areas outside federal property that affects, threatens, or endangers federal property or persons on federal property. And so as a result, federal agents have arrested or threatened to arrest protesters on a sidewalk outside an ICE detention facility who were using a megaphone. And that then led to a lawsuit, and now a judge has temporarily barred the White House from enforcing that law outside of the facility while the case proceeds. And understand, that's not the first alleged First Amendment violation committed by federal authorities. But there's also a situation with a guy who was arrested after playing the Star Wars Imperial March theme at National Guard members in DC, which, you know, excuse my language, what a little bitch you have to be to arrest that guy. Oh, did the song hurt your feelings? Meanwhile, as the holidays approach, you've seen some churches altering their traditional nativity scenes to make a similar statement. And so, for example, there's one in Boston that removed Mary, Joseph, and baby Jesus, and in their place there was a sign reading ICE was here. Right, and that was something that ICE Director Todd Lyons clutched pearls about and called absolutely abhorrent, saying that it adds to a dangerous narrative responsible for a more than 1,150% increase in assaults on ICE officers. But a big counterpoint you've seen there is many have said what's really driving anti-ICE narratives are the actions of ICE itself. With that in mind, there's a particular example that's been grabbing a lot of attention right now because it's just so shocking. Or with that being the case of this young man, a US citizen who city leaders in Minneapolis say was arrested by ICE for no other reason than he looked Somali.
I was even outside for mere seconds before I seen a masked person running at me full speed. He tackled me, pushed me inside the restaurant, like as you can see in the video. I told him I'm a US citizen, what is going on? He didn't seem to care. He dragged me outside through the snow while I was handcuffed, restrained, helpless, and he pushed me to the ground and he put me in a chokehold.
Or with him saying that he offered to show them his digital passport on his phone, but they declined. And so he offered to provide his name and date of birth, but they declined again. And then with that, adding that after about an hour, they put him in the car and they drove off.
So after I arrived at the facility, they parked up, the gate was closed, and they made me step outside in the snow while it was snowing, and they said we have to scan your face or we're not gonna let you inside the car. So I had no choice. I let them scan my face. I was so cold. I guess the face thing, I guess it didn't work.
With him then after that saying that they brought him inside the facility and kept him there for another 20 or 30 minutes, telling him there was no medical aid available, even though his hands were numb and his back hurt. And then eventually someone looked at his passport, took his fingerprints and let him go. But
I asked them, can you take me back to where you picked me up from? They said, no, you have to walk in the snow.
But luckily, he said eventually his parents were able to pick him up, but he stressed that, you know, this whole thing, it was outrageous, not just because he's a citizen, but because if they'll do this to him, imagine what they're doing to people with even fewer rights. And in fact, he even had the Minneapolis police chief saying this to him at a press conference.
I apologize that this happened.
Oh, like that's not what's causing the increase in violence against ICE agents. That couldn't be it. It couldn't be them doing stuff like that could be causing it. Surely not. No, it's people posting mean things and doing nativity scenes. That's what's making everybody not like ICE. That's what it is. It's people protesting ICE that makes people not like ICE. People protesting ICE makes people protest ICE. It's not the actions of ICE causing the protest. It's not the actions of ICE causing the nativity scenes. No, it's the fault of the reaction. It's not the action that's the problem, it's the reaction. Typical mindset of the abuser.
Jason Momoa looks exactly like Lobo.
To you in my city with people wearing vests that say police. That's embarrassing.
But that, my friends, brings us to the end of today's show, but you've got even more just a click away. Or you can think of it as a part 2. I've got my brand new podcast, Crashing Out, that just went up recently. It's like the exact opposite of the Philip DeFranco show, and this is, 95% news, 5% opinion. That's the flip of that. It's a very cathartic watch and listen. Or if you want just more news, maybe you missed last night's Philip DeFranco show, I got it covered right here. There's even links in the description to make everything easy, because I'm just, such a giver. Wow, I love Phil. But hey, let me say thank you for watching. I love yo faces, and I'll see you right back here next time.
His name is Phil. I've just been filled in.
What a lovely start we had this week's episode of AEW Dynamite, because it was the finals of the Women's Tag Team Tournament. Obviously, this competition has been going on for ages. It also was a babyface team versus a babyface team, so you knew by the end of it, you were going to feel warm and fuzzy in your tum-tum. I don't even care what anybody says. That is wrestling, man. You're meant to be entertained. Also, like my friends, and welcome to Ups and Downs for AEW Dynamite, the only wrestling review show you need. It's nice and simple. I've watched AEW, so either you come here to agree or disagree with me, or you haven't watched the show and you just want to keep up. Because let's face it, there's way too much wrestling on TV in a couple of days. John Cena is retiring, which is kind of scary. We should all start digging our graves right now. Shouldn't I have said that? That's very morose. But yes, let's get into it as we wibble around like Elmo. Let's up those doubts. But yes, it was indeed Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale taking on Toni Storm and Mina Shirakawa, and there were so many nice things going on here. Like one of Harley's first ever matches in AEW on Dark was against Willow Nightingale, so that's cool. Flipping, Mina is so talented at wrestling, she left one country to come and do it in another, and we all know the Toni Storm story. She's been kicking ass for like 2 years now. So I just sat there and I just thought, isn't this pleasant? I think it's very pleasant. Let's all sit down and have a cup of tea. There's also a cool story in place here, because we were told, oh hi, given that the timeless love bombs were in that Holiday death match last week, they're probably feeling the effects of that, so maybe Harley and Willow can take advantage. And while we kind of left it lie after that, if you want to get down into nitty gritty and make that argument, I just thought it was very, very nice. There's that word again, that somebody planted the seeds. Because it was a babyface versus babyface match. Willow Nightingale got a hot tag and Toni Storm got a hot tag, and they were just running around the place. And at one point, Toni even hit Storm 0, and Willow Nightingale broke it up at the 1-2 ooh. So you could be like, I don't know who's gonna win. Eventually the tag klaxon went off as well, so everybody was fighting, when Nightingale kind of grabbed Storm and threw her into the floor. I mean, you gotta do something. And while Mina then decided, well, I'll go for my big old driver now, Harley was able to reverse that. She hit "This is my finishing move," whatever the flub that thing is called, when she tagged in Willow, because they are friends for life, like the Care Bears. Nightingale got in there, she hit the babe with the power bomb, and man, they got the 1-2-3. They did this great interview afterwards. They felt genuinely pleased with themselves and just life in general. Then the timeless love bombs are back and everybody hugged, because once again, it was good guy and good guy. No notes, man. This is exactly what they should have done. And how awesome is it that Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale have just won some titles? And the big question is, will these championships stay on TV? Because if we've learned anything from American, I suppose, tag team women's championships, oh my gosh, they can vanish. But we shouldn't tar AEW with that brush. We're only just getting started. But they've got the talent, they've got the division, they've got the depth.
The fact that they won is why it was important to establish they're feeling the effects.
I think you can do loads with this. I'm very excited about it. I liked it a lot. Give it an up. Samoa Joe and the Opportunity was then backstage, and Samoa was super pumped to wrestle Eddie Kingston because he was like, listen, my friend, you wanted the old version of Samoa Joe, but you didn't realize that he's been here all the time, and even though you're about to get your moment, I'm about to remind you how this wrestling business does work, and I'm going to crush your bones. So he's just the absolute goat, man. Like, all you got to do is give him a microphone and he will give you the speeches. When we cut to Jon Moxley, who was hanging out in a stairwell with the Death Riders, I mean, I think by now they could have afforded something better. Now, he basically knows he's been having a tough time the last few months, but that's what the Continental Classic is all about. He understands what he is going to do when he's going to do it. When Danny Garcia sort of jumped up, was all like, man, if you think you're just going to win without the effort, then you're a clown. And I was like, all right, Dan, you need to calm down. But of course, he is going after the TNT title later, so I think we're trying to build more of the show around him. We'll get to it. And we did use that to go into our first C2 match of the evening, and it was Jack Perry taking on Okada, because very sadly Darby Allin is out of the tournament after suffering an injury. And it's Darby Allin. The man throws himself around for a living, so I hope he does okay. For him to be taken out of the game must be something really bad. But at the same time, Jack Perry versus Okada, if you had told somebody this match was going to be possible on television back in 2018, they would have called you nuts. It was also one of the most interesting reversals we've seen for a long time, because Okada was going to do the tombstone, and Jack Perry bit his groin. You can now do that what you wish. Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson I should say, had a meltdown over this. Can't lie, it made me laugh. It's only Okada's fault as well, because earlier to get out of the snare trap, he had gone and bit Jack Perry's hand. And while a lot of Continental Classic matches, as you will also see later, do have a bunch of jeopardy, I would say I think it was pretty obvious that Okada was going to diss one, but it was still so damn entertaining to watch. It's just sports, man. That's what the C2 is, right? It's sports, and you have a league, and you have points, so you can just sit down, man. This water, and it made me laugh. It's only Okada's Daniel Bryan, or Bryan Danielson I should say, had a meltdown over this. Can't lie, it made me laugh. It's only Okada's fault as well, because earlier to get out of the snare trap, he had gone and bit Jack Perry's hand. And while a lot of Continental Classic matches, as you will also see later, do have a bunch of jeopardy, I would say I think it was pretty obvious that Okada was going to diss one, but it was still so damn entertaining to watch. It's just sports, man. That's what the C2 is, right? It's sports, and you have a league, and you have points, so you can just sit down there and go, well, Okada is top of the league, figuratively speaking, and Jack Perry's only just come into the thing. Surely it's going to go Okada's way, but they did do some teasing. It's just the best concept. If one day AEW came out and said, you know what, we're just going to do a league throughout the year, eventually I'd regret supporting it, but the first, I would be doing the dance of joy. Commentators were also telling us, oh, by the way, this is Jack Perry's first singles match in over a year, so he has to keep that in mind too. I don't understand how people say that AEW doesn't have stories. You don't have to like the stories, but once again, to go back to what I was talking about, this is the most sports story you could get. Jack's first mistake is when he tried to flip off Okada, or maybe he accidentally hit the D-pad, and of course, Okada later on did it back to him because he loves doing that. And before long, it looked like Jack Perry was going to get the win, but he basically ran into an Emerald Fusion, I guess you would call it, when Okada went nope, smashed him with the Rainmaker, and he got the 1, 2, 3. I don't know how else to put it, right? I just keep repeating myself. But every single match of this C2 is just so well contested. Now, of course, Don Callis got in the ring after this because he can't help himself, and he was surrounded by the Don Callis family, which is now ludicrously large. And he was all like, Jack Perry, I thought that was a great contest, and you looked really, really good. Would you like to join our family? And also, I have that Young Bucks money for the pay-per-view. I will give it to you, and I'll give you a good old signing on bonus as well. Now, Jack Perry was kind of screwed because Callis also said, if you say no, look around the ring, we will murder you. Jack was like, well, I am going to refuse. When he started throwing bones, and of course he got absolutely destroyed because the wrestling numbers game was against him. This is when Luchasaurus came out, and his big plan was to get to the ring and stop. Maybe he was having like flashes of a meteorite coming down and destroying Earth and ruining all his friends, but actually it kind of was part of the ruse, because then the Young Bucks turned up with chairs and they chased the Don Callis family off. That's a bit like, guys, you could have executed this plan a lot better. It was kind of fun though, because eventually the Young Bucks were going to kill Don Callis, but he was like, no, just take the money and leave me alone. And if you can believe it, it was Takeshita that took the bullet for his fake dad, and Rocky Romero took it too. When the good guys look at the bad guys, the bad guys look at the good guys. Because very soon, next week, we're going to do a match. It got confirmed later on as well, because Don Callis was all like, listen, I have Hechicera, I have Takeshita, and I have Okada. So, Young Bucks, why don't you go and have a friend, and you can take us on in Manchester, which is where Dynamite is coming from next week. And then we also got another clip of Matt and Nick going to Luchasaurus and saying, you can be our partner. And he quite literally went, So I think he actually is a dino now. He pointed to Kenny Omega's locker room. Thankfully, Kenny was in there. He walked out and he said, you know what? Let's do it one last time. But I don't need your money. I'm doing it because I hate Jonathan Callis. So all of this went the way that you'd probably expect, and it is kind of weird that Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks made up at that pay-per-view, and now they're making up again, but we've just put everything in place. So in 2026, we can have a bunch of elite matches, and really they should go out there and win those trios titles, and there are some championships we can bring back to regular TV. Also, to tie it in as well, that Carla Jack Perry match was very, very good. I'm giving it an up. It all just worked. The conglomeration were then celebrating with Harley Cameron and Willow Nightingale as Roderick Strong sat in the corner like, man, I didn't want to come to this stupid party. When we got a big video for Mercedes Moné because she lost her Ring of Honor title over the weekend at the Ring of Honor show. So maybe, just maybe, talking about 2026, her downfall is about to begin. We were then backstage with Eddie Kingston after this, responding to Samoa Joe earlier, and my gosh, he's just the best promo in the world. He's like, yep, I'm nervous, it's good to be nervous, it reminds you why you care. And really, I just want to be warming up right now, but I respect you, Rennie Paquette. But that's right, I've got to go out there, and I've got to remind everybody who Eddie Kingston is. And if nothing else, I've got to do it for myself. If anyone is getting into wrestling right now, I think these are the kind of promos that we should all be trying to cut, because he just sounds like a real human being. And as ever, we turn to the Does Eddie Kingston know wrestling is a work machine? And of course it says no, and I hope he never realizes this, because nobody is realer, strange way to put it, than Eddie Kingston, and I was desperate for him to win. Even though deep down in my Tootsie Toes, I knew he wasn't going to. It's the magic of wrestling. This sort of loving continued as well because we cut to Tony Schiavone. He was like, oh, hi, let's talk to Mark Briscoe, who did walk out. He had a similar kind of message. So many people thought I couldn't win the big one. But now, look, I am the TNT champion. And if you still don't believe in me, you can kiss my ass. This is when Marina Shafir, Wheeler Yuta, and Daniel Garcia walked to the ring. This was kind of cool because it was unexpected. They did stroll through the crowd. And Wheeler was essentially going, yeah, we don't care about any of that because we think you're a giant dickhead. Of course, eventually Garcia did take over because he's going to be the challenger for this belt. He was like, oh man, Mark Briscoe, you have more kids than you have teeth. I was like, there's no way that is true. And isn't it going to be a shame when not only do I take that title from you, but I break your leg? Because how are you going to feed your family then? I think Tony Khan is a nice guy and he'll keep paying Mark Briscoe, but I mean, it's a pretty good insult. Briscoe then promised he was going to whip Danny's ass at the weekend, because that is when the match is going down. When they got into a bit of a scuffle, like Mark slapped him around the face, and Marina and Wheeler held Daniel Garcia back. I was like, wait a minute, Death Riders, you spent every single week going around and murdering people, and here it's 3-on-1, and for some reason you don't want to fight. Maybe this did go over my bald head, but it was a little bit strange. On that aside, everything they did do here was fine, but it also didn't really leave me going, oh, I need to see Daniel Garcia versus Mark Briscoe. Maybe just because I do not believe that Daniel Garcia is going to win. And that's the idea of these segments, right? You're meant to leave them going, oh, I can't believe what's going to happen here. So it's interesting, and the match will be good. We've seen them fight before. They do have great chemistry. I'm going to do that thing that I always do, but it's like a thumb middle. I actually think that's fair. Like, it wasn't the greatest segment you've ever seen, but also there's nothing bad about this. It was very serviceable, if I try and say that word. But it kind of just needed more oomph or more something. We'll wait and see what we get to on next week's episode of Dynamite. But yeah, thumb middle. I think it should be a thing. It's not like I overuse it, is it? Shouldn't have done that.
Consistency kind of sucks sometimes.
Scalabro was then telling us, oh no, there's a situation backstage, and it wasn't Triangle of Madness, who was just laying waste to the women's division when Chris Statlander was here, and she got rid of Julia Hart, and she got rid of Sky Blue. She tried to get Tekla too, but Tekla ran away, which sounds like a nursery rhyme. And look, I can't say on one show, not the other show, but this is very similar to Monday Night Raw. We have a brand new women's champion, and I just don't think we're doing enough with her. I mean, she can't cut a promo in the ring every single week, but I think she should be doing that more often than not if she is having matches. At the moment, Chris Statlander doesn't really do that at all. I don't really know what her direction is. So we've got the big 6-person tag on next week's show. Just keep it simple, right? I think that we should be doing more, and I think we should really be establishing her as not only the champion, but as like a next level star, which is what happens when you do win those titles, that I do have to give it down to. Ever since she won the thing, I just think there's a better way in order to make her feel like a bigger deal. At the moment, we're kind of just staying the course. It's not a massive problem. I think AEW will sort it, but it was just kind of funny that she got like 3 minutes and we were done. When it was indeed Shibata and Powerhouse Hobbs taking on Swerve Strickland and Hangman Adam Page, I do have to say, it's so damn weird. The Hook wasn't involved in this match at all. Like, he was going to come out with Samoa Joe later, but right now I thought the focus of Hangman's rage would be Hook, and here he is taking on the rest of Samoa Joe and the opportunities. I don't know. I'll leave that one up to you, but I kind of feel like after Hook turned heel, he should have done a little bit more than just one line in a promo. And he did have a good line. It was like, I am the best second-generation wrestler ever. That pissed so many people off. Actually, I do have to give it a down, because Hangman also cut a promo later when he went, Samoa Joe, I'm coming for you again. I really think you have to whoop Hook's ass first. Screw all of that, though, because Swerve and Hangman as a team were so damn good, because they do come across like main event players. When they were working to the ring, they had a chain and they had a staple gun. Apparently this was totally fine. And instantly the Opportunity Dojoers, or the Dojo Ops, whatever the hell we're calling them, tried to take them out. Of course they got stapled. Of course they got chained. As soon as Shibata had the staple gun, clearly he's never used one before. He tried to get his enemies and he stapled one of his own friends instead. If I was part of that dojo, I'd be like, you know what? I'm out. So somebody absolutely needs to ring HR after this when we did that awesome brawl thing that we do in Anarchy in the Arena, where you put a line down the screen and the left side is showing you some shenanigans here and the right side is showing you some shenanigans there. People were being put through tables. It was just an absolute war. When they eventually got in the ring, the referee, fine, now we can start it. And we got ding, ding, ding on the bell. It was a very fun 5 minutes. We even saw Adam Page hit Hobbs with a Christmas tree at the moment. I'm going to pretend they stole that from me, which they absolutely didn't. But it's a great way to show you this.
Rolling around the outside, the ballroom's up, going with them.
That's right, it is me on my last Progress match, where I hit somebody with a Christmas tree. And actually right now, you can go watch that match on the Hooked on Wrestling streaming service. Just Google that. And some people have actually told me it's my best match ever stream. Where
on the outside, the ballroom's up, going with them.
That's right, it is me on my last Progress Wrestling streaming service. Just Google that. And some people have actually told me it's my best match ever. I'm not gonna lie, I was very proud. Don't worry about that, because the match then did officially begin. And Hangman Adam Page was gonna use a chair, and the referee took it off of him. Now, listen, the commentator said, well, actually, you know, once that bell rung, it's a tornado tag, but it's not a no DQ. And later on, Shibata was punching people in the balls, and Tony Schiavone said, well, you know what they say, it's anything goes. I actually think the commentators weren't 100% sure, because they kind of went back and forth on this, but I'm going to give it a down, mostly because it confused me. It made me feel stupid. It's like, wait a minute, you told me no DQ, and now you tell me anything goes? It doesn't matter. It makes no difference, and everybody makes mistakes. But yes, it left me a little bit like, what? Strickland then appeared from nowhere to save Prince Nana, and that was totally awesome. And honestly, Swerve is a big old boy now, and he was still doing stuff like 450s and rolling flatliners. I've seen some discourse that people think he should choose a lane. I don't. He has become even more unique than he already was. I just love him. Shibata then soon applied a submission, so Swerve stopped the absolute crap out of him. And it was here when Swerve and Hangman actually were being a very good duo, as the announcers talked about, and they did so well. Eventually, Powerhouse Hobbs went to hit him, and he smashed into Shibata instead. I mean, if you are a heel tag team, that's absolutely going to happen to you eventually. The good guys then just went move crazy as Powerhouse Hobbs got through a table, and that is when Hangman was able to hit the buckshot lariat, when Swerve Strickland carried on with the house call, and Shibata sold that like he'd stopped working. They got the 1, 2, 3, as we saw Josh Alexander watching on, because he's going to be taking on Swerve on Collision. But this was just a super duper excellent fun wrestling match. I can't remember if I said this, but Swerve Strickland, Hangman Adam Page just have main event player energy. Honestly, I think you could show this to anybody, even if they were just on the cusp of wrestling, and they'd have a good time. I mean, it was crazy, and it was nuts, but you knew that was gonna happen. Giving it up, super fun time 9000. We then cut to Stokely Hathaway, who had the best line, because he was like, some people think the most dangerous addictive drug is out there on the streets, but it's not. It's this camera here, because when wrestlers see one, they get addicted to asking for title shots. I was like, Stokely, you're 100% right. Anyway, this has happened to the Bang Bang Gang, so it will be them versus FTR, I believe on Collision, or maybe next week's episode of Dynamite, but all of it is gonna be nonsense, because the Bang Bang Gang are gonna go back to the back of the line, because FTR are going to win. I really enjoy Stokely Hathaway, and actually, in many ways, he's one of the most underrated dudes in all of wrestling. I think we did get to the highlight of the night after this, and that is saying something because the main event was great, but it's back to the C2. It was Carl Fletcher taking on Mike Bailey. And if you walked in here right now and said, Simon, do you think that's the best television match of the year? I'd be hard pushed to come up with anything else. This was absolutely fantastic. and in many ways a window, not even a window, it was evidence of what modern professional wrestling can be. Now I'm just going to zoom right to the end here because you can just go watch this for yourself, but honestly, after they had both brutalized each other, Carl Fletcher did that terrifying powerbomb into the ring apron. He threw Mike Bailey back into the ring, squished him in the corner, and nailed him with this massive brainbuster. And the announcers, the wrestlers themselves, everything how this was framed was telling you, Carl Fletcher is going to win. So when Mike Bailey kicked out the 1-2, this entire place went crazy. Even more so because Carl Fletcher was like, oh fine, I'm still going to hit you with the brainbuster. When Bailey turned it into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment surprise roll-up, Carl Fletcher kicked out of that again when they went tete-to-tete for a little bit longer. When I think Carl was going for a brainbuster part 2, and again Mike Bailey turned it into the most devastating move in all of sports entertainment. This time he got like a really funky pin. He got the 1-2-3. The reaction to this was awesome. Even Kevin Knight came out like, Mike Bailey, you did it. Carl sold this like he'd been told you're never allowed to eat pizza again. It was just a fantastic finish. Once again, reminded you in the C2, it doesn't matter who you are. Carl Fletcher, my nan, some dog going rough. Anybody can lose, anybody can win, and you've got to keep an eye on that league. And honestly, I have zoomed through the rest, but there were so many sequences in here that will make you go, oh my gosh, how are they doing it? And what I really enjoyed is at one point the fans were like, man, we're going to cheer both of them. And I think Carl was like, no, you will not cheer me. I'm meant to be the bad guy. So he just got so down and devious and was doing terrible things. It doesn't just get an up, it gets a golden up. And the only reason, like I say, I have gone fast forward is because I can't do it justice. It is so damn good to watch. It is so much fun. And I know I'm repeating myself because it did come within the confines of the C2, which is meant to be like a sports league. It felt like two major teams going at it. So yeah, golden up. Bravo, Carl Fletcher. Bravo to Mike Bailey. For some reason, I can't say the word bravo, but they have had terrific 2025s, and they deserve some kind of cherry on top or some sort of full stop. That's what this was, and I shouldn't even say deserve. Earn. It's because they are so good. If you're talking about bell-to-bell wrestlers, and you want to throw in two names that could be among the best, you've got to say Carl Fletcher, and you've got to say Mike Bailey. Totally brilliant. This is when Hangman Page did cut his promo saying, Samoa Joe, I'm coming for you, and barely mentioned Hook. Maybe I'm missing something, or maybe something big is going to happen, but it doesn't matter, because we then did get to Eddie Kingston versus Samoa Joe in our Winter is Coming main event for the title. And while I didn't think that Edward was going to be able to win, as always, there's this tiny bit right here in my tum-tum where I want to believe, because that's just what Edward Kingston does. Now, Hook did come out with Samoa Joe, but he was an idiot right away, and Chip Kingston, the ref was like, right, you have to leave. But the reason I really did like it is because it meant that Eddie and Samoa Joe could just have a proper fight, and at first Samoa Joe was roughing him up, so from nowhere, Kingston grabbed him and gave Samoa Joe this terrifying explosive suplex. I actually thought he was going to land on his head. We then got back to some more biting nonsense because this episode of Dynamite was obsessed with that. But one of these was after Samoa Joe had applied the STFU and basically done a salute to John Cena. I mean, if that didn't put a smile on your face, well, you're probably a grumpy person, but that's totally fine. You're allowed to grump. Eventually, Eddie lowered the straps as well, and the fans was going nuts for this. And he was able to smack Samoa Joe at one point, but he couldn't get the 1-2-3 because Samoa Joe fell out to the outside. When he put him back in the ring, and Joe tried to fight back, so Eddie went nope and hit him with a cutter out of nowhere. And just as he was going to go for back fist number 2, which sounds like something terrible, never do that, he fell into the Coquina clutch, and this was even better still. Because Eddie Kingston just gets it. There's this weird, I don't even know what the right word would be, reaction to people tapping out like, oh my gosh, they're so weak now. They should have been allowed to pass out instead. That ain't how it works in the real world. Have you seen any MMA fight? People are tapping out all the time. So even here, Eddie Kingston hadn't had his 8 hours, and he was drifting off. At the last second, he did tap out, and it made it just the most legit finish ever. Because if you are in an actual fight, you don't want to pass out. You don't want to go to sleep. That's not a pleasant experience. So as soon as Eddie Kingston's brain went, this could be bad for us, bro. Like I say, he did tap. It wasn't the floor, it was Samoa Joe's arm, maybe it was his own arm, but he tapped out to the Coquina clutch, and somehow this just made it even better. And it wouldn't surprise me if they did sit down and had that conversation. And honestly, everything leading up to this point, kind of repeating myself with the Carl Fletcher Mike Bailey match, but it's just back and forth and it's aggressive, and maybe that's why it works so well as
Okay, then. So that is the end of the debate. Let's say
up with LA Knight, like I said before, folding chair outside, arms folded, sits down, and he waits. And that is the entire story for that episode and episodes moving forward. Then I don't know. But there's such a stop-start mentality with LA Knight, do you think deep down, this is the thing too, he started out with the models. That feels like 1,000 years ago doing the male model thing with T-Bar from Retribution and Mansoor, future WWE champion in WrestleMania 43. But do you think that this is a Zack Ryder thing where he got himself over and they kind of resent him for it?
I wouldn't be surprised. I was wondering if it was an age thing. We think, well, we can't get behind him, too strongly because, he's in his 40s. I remember that being a knock on him 2 years ago. Well, you can't do too much with him. He's 41. Oh, but here's CM Punk. He's 46 at the time coming back.
You can't do too much. You hand him one of these. You give him a microphone. Like, that is the worst. That's just creating, that's like saying, oh, LA Knight's 6'2", but he's not 6'4". Oh, his arms are 20 inches, but they aren't 24-inch pythons, brother. You can figure out any way to keep anybody down as much as you can figure out a way to put CM Punk in the main event. Yeah, dare I say it, I thought LA Knight was in his mid-30s. Like you said, I'm 54, you're not even 40, but this is the new age that's lower. Him being in his early 40s might as well be in his early to mid-30s. It infuriates me that somehow this feels intentional for a talent that has done nothing but get over with whatever you give them. Even the Roman Reigns thing, I thought that was way too early.
Oh shit. Zoom, zoom. We good. Ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba.
Welcome back to the main stage and the Motorfest Walk of Fame. It's the place to be if you really want to become a Motorfest legend. Each month is a chance for your name to be marked onto the stars. Here's the Motorfest legend of last month. This month, a new legend rises to the challenge. Craving street racing experiences, Motorfest has cooked up something for you. Whether it's futuristic Japanese streets, prestigious European rides, or the raw power at the heart of American DNA, there's a vibe for everyone. And only Motorfest can offer you that.
just go wherever that sandwich should go. Took out a telephone pole.
finished prepping it like 10 minutes before you showed up. It is ready to gobble up every square mile of swampland if you ask it to. Second lap, keep up with the beat, stay on top. It's a 3-lap brawl this time, don't waver. You can go full speed, through the mud, through water, through the weeds. Ain't nothing gonna stop you. Same goes for these ramps, flat out. All right. Water pond, don't think twice. Ramp incoming. Make that Mustang jump like the devil is after it. Third and last turn of that swamp cruise. Go for it and don't be afraid to get your wheels dirty. Hold on to your saddle, cowboy. Yeah. That track's so good. Don't listen to me, just listen to this and knock some teeth out. Straight line. Use that nitro.
Shit.
Good. Send him on the ropes.
That's fun. I don't care about losing the damn belts. At high speed, it's just too hard to keep up with where the fuck I'm at. I don't really need it for the throttle. I need it for the which way am I going?
Well, now, that little bulldozer you got there can face anything. See? You can trust me with that car. We finished prepping it like 10 minutes before you showed up. It is ready to gobble up every square mile of swampland, if you ask it to. Second lap, keep up with the beat, stay on top. It's a 3-lap brawl this time. Don't waver. You can go full speed, through the mud, through water, through the weeds. Ain't nothing gonna stop you. Same goes for these ramps, flat out. All right. Water pond, don't think twice.
Of course. He shot a fucking gravity well at me.
Ramp incoming. Make that Mustang jump like the devil is after it. Third and last turn of that swamp cruise. Go for it and don't be afraid to get your wheels dirty. Hold on to your saddle, cowboy. Yeah.
What?
That track's so good. Don't listen to me. Just listen to this and knock some teeth out. Straight line. Use that nitro.
Gravity well.
One more jump, and you're done. Standing ovation. Show's far from over, though.
It even switched his throttle over to mine.
just to make sure. Devs like that just need to be beat up for real, in real life. They need to be beat up. Putting shit in the game, shit like that in the game, is just sleazy. It's just sleazy to do that. All of a sudden, just because I'm not allowed to get first place in this race, just because it's predetermined, just because someone's got fucking, I don't know, fucking mental and emotional issues, fucking all of a sudden turns into Mario Kart. That's what I thought. What the fuck?
We're keeping pace. The next event is just a few minutes away. A frantic race that goes from the coast to the countryside with an unmistakable Californian vibe. Your next car is one of the most recent entries when it comes to muscle cars. The 2020 Mustang Shelby GT500. Your opponents do not stand a chance.
mean muscle car to kick everyone's butt. Come on, dude, bring the thunder. Man, I love that song. Hey, where's my guitar? Can't find it, damn it. Bottom line is, with my cars and my songs, you're winning this thing, period. Have you ever driven from San Diego to Palm Springs? It's a beautiful scenic route. I'm getting kind of the same vibe from this ride. Kick-ass views and nice stretches of asphalt to let your mount run wild. The best things America can offer. So the Mustang Shelby GT500 is a bit on the modern side. Let me tell you, these cars have come a long way since their first appearance. Used to call them hot rods back in the 50s when greasers just started putting large displacement engines, called big blocks, in cheaper cars. The tech's evolved a great deal since then, but one thing is for sure, the same thrill that drove people to push boundaries back in the day is what's still driving us now. Straight across the roundabout. Don't bother slowing down.
See, look, he doesn't have to slow down. Fucking rude.
One final turn, enter the military base, and that's it.
Look, he just got non-stop turbo. I mean, nitro.
The boys are back in town. This was a solid
Yeah, and his endless fucking nitro. Endless fucking nitro. God, see, they deserve to be beat up for real. They don't even hide it anymore when they just put fucking... It's the equivalent of AI slop. The cheats are so bad and so blatant. But it's been happening for years. Ever since fucking Need for Speed was called Need for Cheats. They eventually learn their lesson.
We've got the toughest cars, so let's take them to the toughest spots. Face to face with the island's guardian. I'm talking about Volcano, of course. Remember when I told you Jim would drive these cars on the moon if he could? Well, this is as close as it gets. Once again, a Mustang GT specially tuned for off-roading is waiting for you. This car is your best chance to make it through that David versus Goliath kind of trial. See it in the distance. It's waiting for you.
Back in black. That's right. I got you yet another one of my rally raid prepped Mustang GTs. Just the right tool for the job. Check this out. Man, you're gonna have fun. Check out the mountain peak. That's one lap. Now taunt that giant one more time. What a badass shot. I'm getting flashbacks of my drives through Arizona. Good bunch of volcanoes there, too. And long, winding roads that disappear into the horizon. Full speed on the descent, but save some of your nitro for the jump. Now, thrusters on full. And we have liftoff. Time for the killing blow. Right on. Center stage, dude. Hit the lights. That's how you rock the house.
It's weird how the curve on the AI skills jumps so drastically from one setting to the next.
It is safe to say that so far this playlist is no picnic. You may even think that we've already seen everything there is to see about muscle cars, and assume it can't get more intense than this. Well, hold on to that thought. A ruthless showdown way above the speed limit and way beyond your expectations. Plus, it's a chance to see just how far muscle car customization can go and how cool it can look.
Look at this eager herd of animals. This race is gonna get bloody. Relax. Your machine is the best in the pack. Just keep your strings tuned. Well done. They don't stand a chance. Some serious curves are coming right off the bat. Eagle eye, and try to keep your machine under control. Cool move. Show me some more. You're off the winding part of the road. Now you can let the supercharged V8 do the talking. Now you probably figured out by now I'm a massive Shelby GT500 fan. Well, you're currently driving my meanest one, my special Jimbo Full Power Edition. That car is one of the highlights of my collection. Calls to me in my sleep, it does. And it doesn't take no for an answer. You're gonna reach the harbor real soon. Quickly closing in on the finish line. Don't you flinch now. That's it. Fire up your guns. That was quite the show. Now all that's left is the encore.
muscle cars have been around since the second half of the 20th century, but somehow we've yet to get you one of the classic oldies. Motorfest, we decided to catch you on the fly and save the origin story for the grand finale. There's an absolute classic heading your way, a grail among collectors and Jim's greatest pride, the Mustang Boss 429. Centerpiece of American muscle car history.
Our final show. Let's get loud. Brad. You're driving my #1 car, the star of my collection, the 1969 Mustang Boss 429. Name speaks for itself. One of the oldest muscle cars. Still one of the greatest too, honestly. until the 60s that the term muscle car popped up, embodying an entire generation's rebellious state of mind. At that time, if you were into muscle cars or just into cars in general, the place to be was Detroit. Man. Ever heard of Woodward Avenue? A renowned street for car duels back in the day. Third lap. Let's end this with a proper charge. Show them who's the boss.
I mean, it would kill these motherfuckers to draw a straight line. It would absolutely kill them to draw a fucking straight line. And they think they're being edgy and cool, but it's like every goddamn racing game these days is just like squiggly line on top of squiggly line on top of squiggly line. Oh, this one is immersive. We even like map real roads with cameras. But yeah, but if you go to the real road, there's like places that are really straight for a long ways. But in your game, it looks like it was drawn by somebody that was trying to draw a line with one hand while they were jacking off to the thought of themselves with the other. Oh, I've got to be edgy and cool. Make all the roads squiggly so this car that can do 200 miles an hour rarely ever gets to be driven over fucking 60.
Well, what can I say? You got the muscle
So what's the fucking point? What's the point of having muscle cars and supercars in the game if you can't do over 30 miles an hour in any of the fucking races? Fucking morons.
Don't forget to grab your reward vehicle, driver. The muscle car spirit can be described in many ways. Playlist cleared and ready for takeoff, driver. playlist is ready to try. Let's go try it. A playlist is available, driver.
Is that true? Mary has to close a restaurant?
2 words. Delta City.
Whoa, it's getting so cold. Luckily, the previous owner didn't need this jacket anymore. And it has no bullet holes.
Greetings. Waiting for the movie screening.
Just browsing to find which movie would most enhance my nuke experience.
The longer you stick to a path, the harder it gets to abandon it.
Amen to that. Now, tell me, what's the next job for the police's finest duo?
I need information on Spike's whereabouts.
That SOB. I'll never forgive him for what he did to Briggs. Luckily, there ain't much left of the street vultures after the bank heist. They're probably laying low. But now you mention it, I heard about a biker who had a crash near the riverbank just behind the mart. So, your best bet is to check out the scene of the accident, or maybe hit up a nearby mechanic to see if they know anything.
Any witnesses?
There's this crazy old bum who hangs out around there. He's nosy. Maybe he could help.
Are you positive that he escaped on the damaged motorcycle?
Not so much on it as with it. From what I gathered, the bike suffered more than just a dent. I'm guessing he must have dragged it to some nearby mechanic to get it back in shape. I think Ben's shop is the closest.
You really want justice for Briggs?
We owe him. But it's more about Daniel and Gale. And I think everyone will sleep better once those butchers are taken care of.
Thank you. You have given me all I need.
I know you're busy, but there's something that I need your help with.
I will not be involved in any illegal activity.
That's very presumptuous of you. I just need help finding a VHS tape in the rental place across the street. The title slipped my mind, and I assume you've got like a database or something in your head that'll make looking for it a breeze. So what do you say? Will you help me look for it?
If it helps you stay out of trouble, let us proceed.
Yeah, it'll solve all my problems. Let's go.
What are you looking for?
So there's this movie about a guy with a gun, and there's this bad guy who wants something. I'm pretty sure the title has some biblical reference in it.
You lack vital information on the subject.
Okay, let's start searching. Remember, the title has something to do with the Bible, saints, cosmos, or what. Let's start by checking the thriller and drama sections.
Should we ask the owner?
Forget him. He has no idea about movies. He thinks that Salamanca deserved the Golden Piston for the Best Picture.
I heard that, and it did.
Kind Shepherd?
Love that one. You know, that movie could have never happened. The director threw out the script after reading a couple of pages. Thankfully, his wife picked it out of the trash, and after reading it, she forced her husband to give it another look.
Everyone deserves a second chance.
Do we? I'm not so sure about that.
Alex Murphy was given a second chance.
But I mean, you really deserved it. Which is something I couldn't say about a lot of people. Anyway, I don't want to spoil the mood, but that's not the tape we're looking for.
Garden of Earthly Delights.
Oh man, great movie. Very elegant. Panned by the critics though. But the director is a badass. He personally showed up to one of those ceremonies to accept the award for the worst movie of the year.
We do not need to bow to outside pressure.
Easier said than done, my man.
It takes courage to not give in to the pressure.
Oh yeah, it does. But hey, if that director can resist it, then why the hell can't I, right? But let's get back to it, because that's not our tape.
Nothing in thriller or drama.
Okay, how about you check in the sci-fi and action section? I'll have a look at horror.
Eve's Flower.
Beautiful depiction of violence in that one.
Do you think violence can be beautiful?
It's just shown with a different sensibility to what we're used to. Maybe because the guy's European. You know how they are. It's different. It's cool, is all I'm saying.
Recognizing beauty in something ugly is a unique feature.
Doesn't pay the bills, though. Then again, I don't have bills to pay anyway.
You know movies. There is value in that.
Yep. There's nothing better than a good movie. But we're still missing our tape.
Celestial Decay.
Classic. Still waiting for a sequel. But the guy who did that one has never made a part 2 in his career. But he said that if he ever did, he'd do a sequel to that one. How do you feel about that? Sequels, remakes, comic book adaptations, etc.
They give hope that there is more.
Yeah. Plus, you get to meet the characters you liked again. That's why I don't hate them. Anyway, risking to sound like a broken record, that's not the tape we're looking for. Hey, I think I found it. I messed up the title a little. It's called Me, Sire, but here it is.
Isn't that the tape we're looking for?
Tape? What? What tape?
You like movies? Do you want to shoot an action movie?
I think I'll wait till it comes out on VHS.
Lights, camera, action!
Crap! Crap! I need a hand over here!
Do you need assistance?
It's that metal! first, I hear a bunch of movie puns. And then everyone starts shooting. It all happens so fast.
Where is Pickles?
He ran out the back door.
Where will I find him?
I don't know. But homeless or not, you still have to give an address to get a membership card. Try the computer. Maybe you'll find something there. Who's gonna pay for all this?